difficulties. I guess we've been lucky so far. That's the first one we've really run into. So thank you for joining us. Again, this is the couple of different topics. We won't have a ton of information because we've got a lighter release to go over this time. But I did want to spend just a little bit of time introducing the new M-Series firewalls. Now that with the release of the M200 and the M300, the entire M-Series line is available and for sale out there, and we have all of these boxes. So just want to give you a quick overview on some of these and what you're looking at and what you have with them. So beginning at the bottom end of our M-Series firewall, we have the new M200 and the M300. Now these boxes, one thing you'll notice is everything is going back to the Firebox brand. They are no longer calling these XTM devices. They are calling these Fireboxes. The M200 and the M300 are the lower end of that. All of our mid-sized boxes, you'll see a new naming convention going forward as well. The M200, the M300, M400, 500 all have the M and a 3-digit number on them. Going forward, our tabletop units, the small form factor desktop units, are going to be T with a 2-digit number. And eventually when we have the larger boxes that are replacing the 850 and above, those will be an E for Enterprise, E-Series, and they will have a 4-digit number attached to those. But with these lower end boxes, the M200 and M300 have been out and available for just right at a month now. The M200 is a direct replacement for the XTM33. This is the first of the rack mount models. It's the getting up from the tabletop unit. It is the first rack mount form factor. Both the M200 and the M300 have 8 1-gig interfaces. For those of you that remember the old 505s and the 515s that had that silly 10100 port on the WAN interface, port 0, they've completely eliminated that, so everything is gig interface ports. Sizing recommendation on these new boxes, the M200, and again, keep in mind when we make a sizing recommendation, we talk about number of users. We also, when we get a little more in depth, we talk speed and throughput on your internet connection. We'll look at the type of traffic you're generating, but a rough estimate is always based on the number of users. And when we estimate the number of users, we're always assuming that all UTM functions are turned on. All security services, whether it's web block or intrusion prevention, you can, if you don't turn on the security services, of course you can get a lot more throughput on these. Now, the M200 is recommended at about up to 60 users. That is not a hard-coded limit. User 61 will still be able to get out to the internet. In theory, you could put this in front of 1,000 users. That's just the box is going to perform very poorly because it doesn't have the processing power to handle that many users. So again, it's a recommendation, not a hard-coded user count. But the M200 we are doing for up to about 60 users. The M300 is a direct replacement for the old 515 box. It's recommended up to about 150 users. As we move up in the product line here, you will notice the M400 is the next one up there, and it takes the place of the old 525. So anybody that had some of those older hardware models, if you're looking to upgrade, this would be the box that you would want to look at. The M400 will accommodate up to from 150 users up to about 350 users, give or take. And then the M500 is the next family up from there. This is replacing both the XTM 535 and the 545. We found that there was not a whole lot of difference. We didn't sell a lot of the 2 different boxes, so we've collapsed that part of the family into a single box. And the recommended user count there is about 350 up to about 750 users on that. So with that said, again, remember those are always just recommendations. Depending on your scenario, you'll be able to do different things. Now, one thing that's different with the M400 and the M500, you'll notice those 2 ports on the end are empty ports that you can put an SFP transceiver in. So these are available. These are SFP, so they're 1-gig ports. There is a fiber transceiver or there is a copper transceiver, either one that if you just need the full 8 copper ports, you can put the copper transceivers in this. If you need a fiber connection or have a desire to have a fiber connection either from coming in from your ISP, or if you have a fiber backbone on your switch and you can get that gigabit speed there, be a great advantage to go to the fiber on that. The other thing that's new and different, in addition, most of our boxes, when we rev the hardware, we're talking about faster processors in them and more RAM. But one of the things that we've added to this model line is now for these boxes, they have the Intel Quick Assist chip in them. What this is basically a dedicated processor for your cryptography. So if you're doing HTTPS deep inspection, or if you're doing IPsec or SSL VPNs, we now have a dedicated cryptography chip on the box, a dedicated crypto processor that really increases our throughput and performance on our VPNs. We've seen on that top end box, that M500, up to about a 10-fold increase in the speeds of our throughput. We've gone, if you compare the old 535 at 550 megabits of throughput to the new M500 at 5.3 gigabits of throughput. Across the product family, we're seeing anywhere from an 8 to 10-fold increase in the VPN throughput speeds. The other thing that you will see in these new boxes, the M400, the M series family, this is all gone to a 64-bit architecture. So you're going to get quite a bit more concurrent connections and new connections per second, because we now have the ability to add more RAM. We can address more RAM in the background because of the 64-bit architecture. So the last box in the M series is this new M440. This box is not a replacement for any other boxes that we've had in the past. This is really a unique box to WatchGuard because we've got 25 ports on it. This is our first high port density box. Now this box, you could use it as a switch and you will get line speed switching out of it, but it's really not designed to be just a switch. You do have the 25 1 gig ports. 8 of those ports, you'll notice these 8 ports in the middle have PoE for them as well. We also have 2 10 gig SFP plus ports on this that you can put in the copper transceivers. Now these are 10 gig ports. These are on the M400, M500. They're 1 gig. On this box, they are 10 gig ports. Really what this box though is designed for is for network segmentation. Let me just pop through some of the slides here real quick. What this is doing is it's giving you the ability to segment your network. So you can set it up so that you have zero trust between your different segments in the network, and you can have one set of ports for your accounting group, your access points or phones, or on the PoE ports, general users on a different network, and then take, for example, a hospital that might have multiple locations where they've got to have PCI compliance. You've got the kiosks out in the lobby that sell coffee, you've got the cafeteria, you've got the gift shop, you've got the pharmacy. You're able to put all of these different pieces out there and completely segment your network. That's where this new M400 box really is designed to fit, and gives you the ability to set these up as bridges, so you have different segments that don't talk to each other. And through our dimension, we can see all of that as well. So that is the quick intro to the new software, the new hardware boxes. Let's jump into the new software. And the 11.10 software was released a month and a half ago, and then they also quickly released right after we did, or right as we were getting ready to do the last tips and tricks when we covered the 11.10.1, they released, I'm sorry, we did 11.10 last time. They released an 11.10.1 with some minor improvements that I wanted to give you guys a heads up on. So as we run through this, I'm not going to spend a lot of time in the PowerPoints. I'd rather spend some time in the firewall. But we'll get a few new features in the web UI, some enhancements, some hotspot enhancements for the hotspot page, but a couple of different functions and features we can do in here. This is one that people have been asking for some time, that if you go out to the firewall and you want to upgrade the firmware, you have to go ahead of time and you have to download the firmware file, you have to get it ready to go. load it on your Windows system locally, and then go and do your upgrade. Well, what we have the ability to do now is in the web UI, and this is a web UI only function, is under our, let's see, I lose it. I have to refer back to my slide here real quick. Under System, on here, if we expand this out, we now have an Upgrade OS functionality. This will actually go out and tell you, we see right here, I'm on this box, this is 11.10.1, this is at the latest release. If there were other releases that were available, it would actually show up in this list. You'd be able to select, download and install and upgrade directly from watchguard.com. It'll give you the different firmware revisions that you've got out here. You press the upgrade, it'll download it in the background and upgrade the firewall for you. Traditional upgrade is you have the upgrade file, you tell it where to go to find the path, you download that, it's ready to go, you do it manually. This will at least give you the ability to upgrade it from within the firewall without doing the downloads ahead of time. Minor features, but some nice things nonetheless. Another thing that we've actually added on here, and I don't know why we didn't have this before, is in our firewall, when we set up, everything has to have a feature key running so that we have all of our options licensed, that we have the ability to run the different pieces. Now we have the ability to automatically synchronize our feature key, so once we applied a new license, we could go and have it downloaded automatically. But now, as of 11.10.1, if we're coming up within a month of expiration on our feature key, it will now start generating emails. And this is going to be based on your Dimension server or your logging and reporting server. That's what always generates the email, but we will have the ability to either do a pop-up window or send an email. Or for those of you guys that have SNMP monitoring, you can send a trap for that as well. I don't have it configured, so it won't let me select that option. But now you actually will get an email alert if your feature key is going to expire, so you don't come in one Monday morning and realize nobody can get to the web because web blocker key expired and then turned itself off. Another feature that you'll be able to have is multiple administrators connected to your device at one time. Now this is going to be under your global settings in your setup menu, global settings, where you go in to turn on a few other pieces. But you have the ability now to log in more than one administrator at the same time. This is if you have multiple admins on your network and you have multiple people making changes, you still have the ability to lock down the configuration file so that another admin, you can't step on each other's toes, but it at least allows you to have multiple admin logins at one time. Say somebody needs to clear a quota or check an update or something like that while somebody else is working on creating a firewall policy, you will be able to have those people in at the same time running those. Other new features in here, and this just goes along with that, in the web UI, if you have multiple web UI administrators in there, you'll have a checkbox, basically just a lockbox at the top that says, I want to lock this so no one else can make changes while I'm here, so that if you have the need to lock it down so you're not stepping on toes, you can do that. Another piece in here is for users that are doing multiple device management. If you have your WatchGuard System Manager where you're logging multiple devices. In my case, I have 2 boxes reporting into my System Manager right now. I can come up here to the top level and I can actually generate management reports. And what these management reports are going to do is just give you a quick snapshot of what is out there. I've pre-generated these, so I have them opened up ahead of time for you. So our basic managed devices report is going to give you just a quick and dirty list of these are the boxes that are under management, the model, serial number, and then what version it's running. You'll also be able to see what addresses they have for their interfaces. This is both the public and the internal interfaces. What build number it's on. Is this box in basic managed mode or fully managed mode? Am I running a management tunnel through another NAT device so I can manage this remotely? Gives you the last time that it reported in on its heartbeat. My boxes have been unplugged for a little bit. Heartbeat, if they have any pending updates, things like that are available there. The next report is just going to give you a report on your groups if you've set those up, what boxes belong to the different groups in there. And then the last piece is a managed tunnel. If you're doing any management or if you're doing any drag and drop VPN tunnels between the boxes where the system manager is managing those VPN tunnels for you, it'll give you information on what those tunnels are and which subnets are connected together. So again, 11.10.1 is just really some minor tweaks and tunes for a lot of the system administrators, make your job a little bit easier, but not a lot of whole new functionality in it. So as we go through this, I'm going to just skip a couple of slides here so that we can get on once my PowerPoint catches up with me. There we go. Maybe. There it is. For those of you that are running some kind of SNMP management system, there is a new MIB for a fire cluster. So if you've got multiple boxes out for management and you're running a cluster on those for your SNMP portal, you will see a new MIB for that. Moving on to other enhancements, probably the biggest change for the 11.10.1 is the web UI. For those of you that do use the web UI, you'll notice as I was in here, I'm actually going to log out and just start at the beginning page here. There is a new look and feel to this so that we can see just some improvements in usability. We have a disclaimer on here that we released in a previous version. I accept that, and once I get into the firewall, we get the front panel. You'll notice there's a new look and feel to it. Our front panel still has the same information of who's using what right now. We get information on bandwidth, CPU usage, memory usage right now. But you'll notice this new buttons up here, the user admin, we have the logout button, the help button. New look and feel to the dashboard. We can collapse the menu along the left-hand side here if we need to, if we're working on a smaller screen. This is also mobile aware, so that if you are in a situation where you need to, if you're on a smaller screen or you resize your window, you'll notice as I drag this down, and once I get to a smaller screen here, it's going to adjust itself. The top menu is collapsed into itself. The side menu will collapse in so that you can see this on either a remote device, tablet, phone, if you really need to get in and manage it from that. So along with that new color scheme, new login page, it is responsive. As you get into the different tabs, the goal is really to make the web UI a little bit more like the WatchGuard System Manager. So when I get into different sections, if I want to get in and say, for example, add a firewall policy, when I get in here, you'll notice there are new add policy. Once this catches up with me, sometimes I can click faster than I can talk. But I've added these in. I'm looking at the policies. Let's actually go in and edit a proxy as opposed to adding a new one. And you'll see different header fields and new color scheme here to try and make this a little bit easier to use, so that once you're in and you've added a policy, I can get into my app control settings, I can get into my traffic management, I can get into my proxy action, all from here without jumping into multiple screens on the firewall and having to go to different sections. So they have called that out. They spent a little time working on just the feel and the usability of it to try and get it a little bit better. So some of this stuff I've showed you is the slides, and we'll just skip through a few of these so we can get in. And it looks like my Chrome browser is just getting a little unresponsive right now, so we'll leave that alone and just talk about a couple other pieces in here. In the wireless guest admin, we introduced a feature back in 11.9 that let you create one-time use passwords for users to log in and get their information. They're able to get on your guest Wi-Fi. using a one-time password that then expires after the lifetime is expired on that. And so what I need to do is actually log out as the admin. There is a separate login, so this is something that you can give to the receptionist, the secretary, to manage your guest admins, or manage your guest Wi-Fi connections. This becomes a guest admin account, and I just created mine as Wi-Fi admin. And then I can get in here, and from this limited account, it gives me the ability to generate one-time use passwords. And my browser's running a little slow today for some reason. Everything I tested this morning was working just fine. But basically what I have is in the web UI in 11.10.1, they've cleaned up this page, gotten it so you can manage these and help with these a little bit easier, making it easier for a non-administrator. If you go into your advanced settings, they've cleaned this up as well. This gives you the ability to say, I want a username prefix. I want this account to actually live for an hour or a day or whatever else you decide. And then if it hasn't been activated in that amount of time, after 90 days, I'm going to generate some new ones. You can also, let me save this. You can also customize the voucher so that it gives your information. When we go back to the advanced settings here, that you can give your own information, put your company name, contact information, put a custom logo on, so that once you save these off and you generate these accounts, I've generated a few of them here. And once the page gets back, we can highlight all of these and say, okay, I want to print these 10 out that I've already created. This will give you just a quick printout, give a little card that you can cut up, put it on a 3x5 card, put it on a receipt or a label printer, something like that, and it'll let you do these one-time use passwords. This is the random username, random password. The account is valid for 1 hour and must be used by July 9th, 2016 to be good, otherwise the account expires. This way, if you have a guest Wi-Fi, you can keep people a little more honest, nobody sitting in the parking lot using your password, because they have to come in and get this from the secretary to get on the internet. So last couple of settings in here, there isn't much else for the 11.10.1. You do have some enhancements to that hotspot. This is just showing what we were looking at there. There is a small change to our WSM log server. Gives you the ability to send, if we purge log messages from the database, that we are no longer generating emails off of that, because we really don't care. We've done that manually anyway. We know it's happening, so we no longer send emails about that. So like I said, real quick and dirty, there wasn't a whole lot of new features in 11.10.1. Next month we will start looking for the new Dimension 2.0 that is coming out. We will have quite a bit to go over that, so that'll probably be divided up into a couple of webinars. Just remember, as always, if you want these recordings, you can go back to YouTube and search for DGeisler, WGSE, and that'll pull up our South Central Tips and Tricks YouTube channel, and all of these video recordings will be available there. Again, please remember to, if you have any questions on any of these, to fill it out in the question and answer section. We will get back to you via email. Thanks again for your time. We appreciate you guys logging in for another webinar. Hopefully we'll have a little more meat for you next time when we start getting into the new Dimension 2.0. And with that, I will turn things back over to Elaine.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you everyone for joining. I will leave the webinar